Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hello, unicorns! Part 2. Are you ready? I am. Oh my goodness. I hope you listened to part 1 because that was just fan-freaking-tastic. Lessons from Arizona. So good. Who knew that vacation would not only be so relaxing, but then also give me such great lessons here. I want to also tell you something real quick too on that. I totally went there thinking, oh, I have to make this work related. I have to make this work related. I have to make it work related. And then I realized, hold on, before I tell you what I realized, some of the ways that my brain wanted to do that were, if I relax, then I will be able to show up better for my business. If I go to Arizona and get out of my environment, I'll see a different perspective, and then that'll be magical, and then I can take it back here and use it to become a better coach. And if you are an entrepreneur, you know this struggle where you turn everything into a way of relating to your business. And I want to just tell you what actually happened, because I got there and I realized I was like, oh my God, I'm literally trying to work while relax. This is not the experience I want to have. So, you know what? Though I really want some lessons because I know that my brain is really attached to making everything about business. Who cares? What if I just let it go and just decide to just have fun and whatever? And the interesting thing was, once I kind of let it go, then I actually started seeing some things. And then when I got back here, I saw even more as I kind of reflected on the trip. And so I was able actually to work when it was time to work and relax when it was time to relax. And it all started with a decision to see my pattern, have compassion for myself, love myself. Oh, there it is. There's that thing I do. Turning relaxation time into work time. Okay, that's cute. But hey, we don't do that anymore. That's not our style anymore. Let's have some fun. I think the only thing that all the lessons from today's episode, I wrote, after returning here. The lessons from the last one, I jotted some notes down while I was pruning the mesquite trees, because the spikes, when they cut my hand at first, I went, oh wow, wait, hold on, this is kind of interesting. And so I jotted a few notes down in that moment and put away the phone and just didn't worry about it. So I highly recommend you do that and catch yourself, and without trying to force and change it, just go, oh, there's that thing, that's cute. I want to make everything about work because I'm addicted to the accomplishment, right? Okay, here you go. Today's episode is actually about perspective, so it's so perfect. And what I want to offer you at the very beginning here is that perspective, how we are experiencing things, the perspective, which is really just thoughts that you have about things in your head. Perspective is what causes your feelings. The thoughts that you have in your head, your brain, how your brain is interacting with the things that are outside of you, are what causes how you feel. It's not that those things outside of you cause you to feel. They can't. Otherwise, we would all feel the exact same way about everything in the world. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Everyone just agrees on everything. That would be a very boring planet, though. Come on. We like the drama of disagreement, don't we? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. But it is not that things out in the world, like COVID, for example, or the president, create how you feel. Because otherwise, again, every human would feel the same way it is actually your perspective or your thoughts, however you want to say it, about those things that create how you feel. So noticing that it's your perspective, you don't even need to change. I'm not even telling you, oh, go around, change your perspective on everything so you can just feel happy-go-lucky all the time. No, life is filled with ups and downs and wonderful and awful. And you most of the time will probably want to keep the perspective that you have on certain things. But I want to just give you that awareness today to start actually noticing when you're feeling really horrible about something, instead of blaming it on that thing or that person, go, oh, well, actually, I really feel awful because of the thoughts, the beliefs, the perspective that I have about that thing. That's what's causing a lot of discomfort. So if I really want to change how I feel about it, I could change those thoughts, those perspectives, or I could just leave it and even then feel a little more comforted knowing that you are actively choosing to not feel good about something that you don't want to feel good about, right? Okay, so with that being said, some lessons from Arizona. I was teaching my cousin who is 15. He's not quite ready for his permit yet. How to drive out there. And that was so fun because we got to drive around the airplane hangars and up and down the taxiway. And even more fun than that, drive on these like back roads that are all dirt. And again, like I said, it's the rainy season right now. So there were some deep crevasses in the roads. Where rainwater had kind of collected and then carved a path in the road, a ditch, like a foot or two deep ditch in the middle of the freaking dirt road. And these are on, mountains and stuff. It is very bumpy all over the place. I guess it was really hilly in most of the area. We did drive up a mountain, but most of the area that we drove was very hilly, a lot of up and down and really rough roads and ditches in the middle. And I just thought, isn't it interesting if you really, probably most adults, well, even it so happened that after driving with me, Grandma got in the car because he really wanted to show her his driving skills, and she wasn't enjoying it much because, well, she's 80, almost 80, and she's like, ow, my body hurts, right? But my cousin was having such a fun time. He was having the time of his life on these back roads. And so I just wanted to point out that it's not the back road that causes that's like filled with joy or not. It's your perspective on it. And with driving, he was having the most fun time. Everything was exciting to him. Everything was new. Everything was so fun about driving. And we drove around for like a couple hours at a time, several times, y'all. Just in circles places sometimes. Like, we went on the same damn road over and over and over and over again. We looped around the airplane hangars over and over and over and over again. It was not new and exciting for someone like me who has driven for a while, but it was so fun and exciting for him because everything was new to him. His perspective was, this is exciting. This is fresh. This is different. He was excited for all of it, right? And I was so excited and feeling wonderful when I was focusing on the excitement in him and the fun that we were getting to have and the connection that we were getting to have as cousins, right? But driving, I have a perspective on driving that like, oh yeah, gas pedal, brake pedal, turn the wheel, it goes, right? And so my perspective on driving is like not really thrilling most of the time. Most of the time it's kind of boring. and driving around in circles, kind of boring. But I also got to choose what perspective do I want to have right now. If I'm in this scenario, and I certainly want to have a good time with my cousin teaching him to drive, I want to have a good time. So I don't make him responsible for that. I don't look at driving and go, "Oh, couldn't driving be so much more interesting?" No. I decided to have the perspective of, isn't it fun to watch him having fun? Isn't it exciting to watch his face light up? Isn't it neat to remember when I was his age and driving for the first time, and it was like, what is this? And that allowed me to enjoy every moment of it. I seriously did. I had the most fun time with my cousin teaching him to drive. So good. He's a very good driver, by the way. Holy shit. Like, really great hand-eye coordination, really great taking direction. He really did a phenomenal job. And since he lives not that far from me here, I'm going to actually teach him to drive on the roads once he gets his permit. So I'm really excited for that. And just like a funny portion from it, it was hilarious because he was calling his mom. Oh, actually, this kind of is a perspective thing, right? So he was calling his mom and he was like, "Mom, we were driving on the edge of cliffs, and we were driving and it was tilted, and like we could have flipped." Actually, I think he said we almost flipped. We almost rolled. And his mom was like, "What? Alex, you do know he doesn't know what he's doing, right?" I'm like, "It's okay. I got him. It's all good. We're good." Right? And it's so funny to see that, like, what was happening, what the facts of what was happening were what they were. But his mom, because of her perspective and her thoughts about her child, were fear hearing this story. And my perspective, being in that passenger seat, watching what was going on at the time, was like, he's got this. Right? And so my thought, he's got this, allowed me to feel really calm and put together and give great direction as we were navigating some really tough terrain. Those ditches in the ground that I talked about that we could have gotten stuck in several times and we never did. The cliff edge that we drove along, the tilted terrain where it was like one tire way, the driver's side way higher than the passenger side. And it would not have served me to be freaking out in that scenario, because I would not have been able to show up in a way that was giving him clear and accurate direction. It wouldn't have been helpful to him. It wouldn't have been helpful to us, like, crashing or not, right? So I just want you to see in that how powerful the perspectives that you have are in your life, that how you feel in any given scenario is always up to how you choose to think about it. That you never actually are stuck feeling horrible. Something to consider. Here's another one. Hopefully Grandma doesn't get mad at me for ratting her out. She doesn't like vaccines, y'all. And who cares? I know that's going to like really piss a lot of people off. The LGBTQIA plus community has been very vocal about being pro-vaccine. And then there are many people, typically more Republican, who are very anti-vaccine. And I'm here just taking my vaccine and not really bothered by what anyone else is doing. And it's so interesting because I notice in some of my friends who care a lot about it, how stressed out they feel. I notice that while they're in it, they have a lot of thoughts about what's going to happen in the world. And it's so interesting because you probably are hearing a lot of reinforced thoughts about the bad things that could or will or, are happening because of people not being vaccinated. And it was just interesting for me to observe and listen to my grandmother talking about the bad things that could or will or have happened because of getting vaccines. And I'm not here to have an argument with you today on whether I think everyone should or shouldn't have the vaccine. Not the point of this conversation. The point is, do you realize that there are people that are on both sides that are really bent out of shape, and they're very afraid? And fear, when people feel afraid, they are easily persuaded and controlled. When you feel a lot of fear around something, you are more susceptible to being influenced. And so marketing, which is really just people offering you a perspective, they're saying, here's how I see things. This podcast is marketing and a perspective. Here's how I see things. And those perspectives might be driving a lot of fear, right? There are people right now that are really afraid about, what if I am forced to get a vaccine? And there are people that are really afraid about, what if people don't all get vaccines? What if there are unvaccinated people? And when you're in it, when you are absorbing perspectives from other people, when you are taking it all in, first of all, what your brain likes to do is it likes to use confirmation bias. So whatever you already believe is true, you usually filter all of the information coming in a way that allows you to keep your existing belief. So you might be looking at information coming in from the opposite side of you, right? And going, oh, well, they're an idiot. So there, now I still get to have my own perspective. Or then you might be intaking information that agrees with your current perspective, and then you're going, see, here it is. I told you so. I knew it. So be aware of that. Be aware of your cognitive bias. Be aware that your brain is always wanting to hold the exact same beliefs that you already have. It likes to do it. And it will play little gymnastics like that, where you invalidate the source, or you pick apart and are more picky about perspectives that you don't currently agree with than the ones that you do currently agree with. It's just something to be aware of with your brain. So much more useful for you to be aware of it and making decisions around, hey, with this information coming in, if I don't agree with it right away, do I actually want to right away dismiss it, or do I want to allow space for it to be different? Okay. So back to the feelings of fear, people on both sides are feeling fear. And something that has kind of been a large message during COVID has been that, oh, well, COVID caused so much stress in the world. Y'all, hear me loud and clear. COVID did not cause stress. It caused coughing. It caused fevers. It caused all sorts of, symptoms in bodies. And people passed away. They died. It did not cause feelings like stress or anxiety. It can't. It's a virus. It can't cause feelings. The feelings that we experience are just because the feelings are a way of us becoming aware of our perspective, of what we think about the scenario. The circumstance is COVID. The thoughts that we have about it, and about the vaccine, and about other people, and what's going to happen in the world, are what create our feeling of anxiety or stress. It's not COVID that's doing it. COVID is a great opportunity for you to become more aware of what your perspectives and thoughts and beliefs are. When you feel in a big way, whether it's feeling lots of great positive emotions, lots of joy, or you feel a lot of fear or anger or anxiety, lots of negative emotions, when you have big feelings, it's a great moment to pause and look at what are the thoughts you have, the perspective that you have on that thing, because that perspective is what is creating the feeling. And I guarantee that perspective is not something unique to COVID. It's not something unique to whatever scenario you're experiencing those big feelings around. It is something that is much deeper than that, that's much more widespread in your life. It's a belief. It's usually something that's really simple. Like, people are out to get me. That's one of the root beliefs that many people have that's stressing them out around COVID. They have a belief, this might be you. You might have the belief that other people are out to get you. They have your worst interest in mind. And that might manifest for like the thought that then is more high level for you, something that's more obvious to you, is you're thinking, oh, people are not getting a vaccine and so they don't care about my life. Or people are getting a vaccine and they shouldn't be because it's a conspiracy or whatever, and these things are harming bodies, right? Either way, the root is people are out to get you. And so then you're experiencing these feelings around the vaccine. So as you go through life, whether it's this vaccine and COVID or anything else, pay attention. What are the thoughts that you're having about it? What's the perspective that you have? Separate it from the pure fact and be really onto yourself about what is actual pure fact and what are the things that you're believing to be true. Okay? All right. Then I had this metaphor for you of flying and seeing things from above. And I'm guessing that you've probably flown at least commercial before, right? You've watched the ground out the window become smaller and smaller and smaller until it's like totally underneath you and you can't even see people. You can barely see houses. You might see some trees and you can see some mountains and you can see big bodies of water and maybe some rivers, right? The land is exactly the same. It's exactly what it is. When you are above it, you have a new perspective on it and therefore might feel differently about it. Right? I love flying because I feel so free up there. I feel so unattached. I feel so out of the weeds. When I'm down on the ground physically, I can see all the things that are right in front of me and around me. And when I'm above, I can see the big picture. And the same thing happens with your stresses and your anxieties. When you are seeing just what's around you, you are so much more likely to react in big ways. When you're worried about COVID and vaccines and the next month, you're so much more likely to react in a way and feel some like very strongly one way or the other. When you are above it, when you're observing, oh, isn't that interesting? There's a vaccine out there and some people really don't want to take it. Other people really want everyone to take it. And there's like these people that have this point of view, and these people that have this point of view, and these people feel super anxious, and these people feel really angry, and these people feel indifferent, and these people feel defensive. When you are above looking at all of it and observing it, you feel so much more free. You feel so much more calm. It doesn't feel like the end of the world anymore. It doesn't feel like urgent. It feels a lot more calm and collected. And it's so much easier to plan from above. Think about that. Like, maps are not created where you see the perspective right in front of you. That would be basically useless. Maps are created from a view above, looking down on the roads so that you can plot your route, if you even use a map anymore. But your GPS displays a map, so you know what the hell I'm talking about. It's from above so that you can see a larger perspective and plot your route. When you are just seeing ground view, you are so much more overwhelmed. You are so much more likely to go down, be desperate and go down any path, even if it's not the right one. You're so much more likely to be stressed about like hurrying up and making this turn and let's do it. There's so much stress and anxiety in that perspective versus looking at it from above and realizing that, oh yeah, I feel stressed about it. That's interesting. I feel stressed about it because here's my thoughts. My thoughts are that people that I really love are going to die. And that really upsets me. That's the perspective I have. People that I love are going to die, and that really upsets me. And I don't want them to die. And I also have this thought that like people are trying to get me. They're trying to be out to get me, and they are people in general are evil assholes. And here they are again, taking people from me that I love. Right? That, even just observing, oh, wait a minute, that's what's going on in your brain, is so much more useful than like living in it in the moment and being totally attached to it as your perspective. And then we're going to jump over to something totally unrelated. We're done with vaccines and stuff now, y'all. Okay. So my cousin and I worked out every day while we were there. There's like this neat little outdoor workout thing. And, oh wait, hold on. Before I tell you that, one last thing about the perspective. Last one. Okay. Bisbee is a really neat town where it's kind of in a valley. And so there are houses that are built up the sides of the mountains. And so when you're in it, you are like, oh my goodness, it's so high up to get to that house up there. Cause there's like maybe 4 or 5 layers of houses, and you'd have to go upstairs to get to all of them. Right. And so what I wanted to offer to you metaphorically is then when I was in that airplane flying, we flew above the town, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. It's just sort of from up here, all I see is basically what looks like just a stream, just a few just one line of houses from above, one line of houses between 2 mountains. But when you're down there, you see them stacked up, and it's all these stairs to get up them. And so the interesting thing is when you're in it, right, it looks like so much effort to go up all those stairs, and maybe it is, but it also could serve you to look at it from above, like, oh, these houses are pretty close together, actually. It's not that far. I don't know. Take from that what you will. It's just very interesting that the entire town looked completely different from an airplane than it did down on the ground. looked like two different places. I didn't realize that. I was like, wait, that's the town? It doesn't look at all the same. Looks like something totally different. So perspective, y'all. Okay, back to working out. They have this little outdoor workout place that was really fun. Fitness Court. If you like look it up, they have an app and all that stuff. There's places all over the country that are popping up. Super neat concept. So we're doing these outdoor workouts, right? And Bisbee is a mile of altitude, maybe a little bit more than a mile. I can't remember. I think it is more than a mile where we were doing it. So high, right? And if you're not familiar, if you don't know yet, the higher altitude you are, the less oxygen in the air. So in Arizona, it's very dry, very desert heat. It's dry, and there's less oxygen. Here at home in Maryland, there is a lot of humidity, and I'm at sea level. Like, my gym is literally right next to a creek. So I'm working out at like maybe 10 feet of elevation. Okay. 10 feet versus a mile. So there's a lot of oxygen here and a lot of humidity. And there's less oxygen, but no humidity. And so working out there was totally different than working out here. And both were hard in different ways. Working out there, I barely sweated. Now, I actually did sweat, but I wasn't dripping with sweat like I am here. I was actually feeling a lot cooler because as your body sweats, it's immediately evaporating, which is allowing the sweat to do what it does, which is pull away heat from your body. So you feel a lot cooler working out in dry desert heat because the sweat evaporates and you feel cooler and your body is like, hey, I don't feel so bad. I can keep going. But at the same time, there's a lack of oxygen. So your body is not able to do all it needs to do at a, I almost said microscopic. That's not the right word. Who cares what the right word is? Anyway, on a biological level, that's the word, in order to sustain harder effort. And then here at home, plenty of oxygen. So on a biological level, there's a lot going on that the oxygen is helping. And so it's easier to keep going in that sense. But then it also is hot as hell because the sweat does not evaporate off of your body. And so your body is overheating more. So what I want to offer to you here is to know that life is always hard. It is always full of trade-offs. You could have high altitude, low oxygen, but great evaporation, nice and cooling. You could also have great oxygen and really terrible cool down, evaporating, right? I don't even know if I said that right, but it's a trade-off. It's 50-50. Part of it sucks, part of it's great and helpful. And don't get me on the technicality that there are areas of the world that have drier heat and your sweat would evaporate, but are also closer to sea level. Who cares? Okay, this is the metaphor. Life is trade-offs, full of trade-offs. Life is 50-50. And so many of you, not so many of you, all of you have been pursuing a life where you get rid of the sucky part, where it's really great all of the time, where you just have all the oxygen you need and all of the low humidity and like perfect temperature. No, that's not the way life is. It's not even supposed to be. And if it was, that would be fucking boring. Seriously, you would be so bored of that. No, life is always a mix, sucky and wonderful. And so instead of making the pursuit to try to reach perfection, what if the pursuit is like, ooh, here's a neat little challenge? Wonder how I'll do the workout now. Let's see what it's like with this challenge. Ooh, let's trade it off. Let's have more oxygen, but now I'm hot, like I'm not cooling down as fast. Ooh, let's see how my body does here. Let's see how I do here. Let's see how for you, let's how your brain does in this scenario. What if it was just exciting to test yourself in all the different blends, trade-offs of life and go, wonder how I show up here. Yeah. Wonder how I show up here. So fun. So much better than trying to pursue perfection and cultivate like a perfect lifestyle, perfect life circumstances. Have fun seeing how you get to show up in all the different ways, in all the different scenarios of life. And I want to close by going back to the perspectives, just overview perspectives of my cousin and my grandmother. Remember, my cousin is 15. My grandmother turns 80 in a couple weeks. I want to just offer this fun thing to you, that you can take the perspective that you observe in anyone else, the part that you love, and leave behind the part that you don't. And so what I would offer that this is what I wanted to take away from my time with the two of them was the beginner's excitement. Everything was just so fun and exciting to my cousin. There were so many things that maybe I or my grandmother might find like boring and mundane at this point. And he was excited. Why? Because he was so curious. Friend, remain curious. It's so much more exciting and fun. And then from my grandmother, what I want to take away is her groundedness. Y'all, there is no convincing grandma to do anything she does not want to do. Not at all. She's so grounded in like deciding who she is, how she shows up, what she does with her life, how she spends her money, whether or not she gets a vaccine, what food she puts in her body. And she is picky about that. She supplements well and eats some good ass food. So she is so grounded in knowing who she is and how she wants to show up and the life that she wants. She's calm and not concerned about what other people are thinking. She knows that people don't like what she's doing with her life. She knows, and she keeps doing it because she's grounded in knowing that she likes what she's doing. She likes the life that she has. She has almost 80 years of history experimenting with what does she like, what does she not like, and being grounded in her own vision for her life. So those are the two just wonderful perspectives to take away. Beginner's excitement, that to show up with curiosity and to look for ways that you can foster that feeling of curiosity. Remember, your perspective is what creates the feeling. What perspective can you have about this that will foster creativity, curiosity? Creativity is a great one too, but curiosity. What perspective can you have that will foster curiosity? And what perspective can you have that will foster groundedness? What thoughts do you need to have about yourself, about other people, and about your ability to navigate the world and your best, most enjoyable version of your existence here on earth and other people's ability to do the same for them? All right, friend, have a fan-freaking-tastic day. I'll see you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to CoachAlexRay.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.